The casino says if you say yes to the project, and I understand what you're saying about the criteria, but the casino says if you say yes to the project, you're saying yes to 5,000 direct and indirect jobs, thousands and thousands of tourists coming to the state, $35 million for the state of Wisconsin, and $19 million for the city, the county, and the schools. Can you afford to say no?
Well, but that's part of the reason why we're having this discussion. You would hear in the city of Milwaukee, the mayor of Milwaukee and the county executive would say, as have Democrats in the state legislature from Milwaukee, point out the thousands of jobs they think would be lost from the operations in the city of Milwaukee. They would say in that conflict, in that situation, you've got no net increase, and you've just got a matter of whether you gain some jobs one place and lose them from another place. That is even higher levels of unemployment in the heart of the city of Milwaukee. On top of that, in terms of new revenues, because these situations are essentially governed by gaming compacts, one of the reasons why I set the criteria in the first place that all 11 have to sign off is they affect the compacts, the contracts essentially that each of the tribes have with the state of Wisconsin. They will be altered if a new addition is added, which is why I asked for the consensus. If you have one place that stands to gain, potentially not just Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, Oneida, Mole Lake, others have raised concerns that it might affect them, and that's not just affecting them, it would actually affect how much they pay to the state of Wisconsin for their compact. So again, it's not a net gain. It may very well be a wash overall. I don't know the answer to that yet because I've got to look at all the different criteria that comes in by the 22nd of this month.
Yeah, I mean, the Potawatomi pretty much said, no, this is not going to happen. So this means the deal is dead?
Well, except that we've been, that may be the perception that some have in the public. I've had my Secretary of Administration, Mike Hipsch, working on this for the past month and a half, having several meetings with not only the Potawatomi and the Menominee. The Oneida have not signed off on it. There's some initial concerns that the Mole Lake might have some concerns. The Ho-Chunk over in central Wisconsin have raised concerns. So it's not just a matter of Potawatomi and Menominee. There are other tribal nations that have raised concerns. And so we started with our Department of Administration. What I've said as we get closer to the date that I will get personally involved in helping to facilitate discussions because I want to make sure that we haven't left anything on the table. And I think there's a way that you could potentially get a win-win out of this. But it's got to be one where people are willing to come to the table and not just talk about who's going to win and who's going to lose.
So the deal, the door to a deal has not been closed.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And not only has it not been closed, but we've got our foot in to make sure that it won't be closed until we get all the way through the end of our time frame. We want people at the table honestly talking about both their hopes and their concerns and trying to address it in a way that builds true consensus.
One more question on that. I checked before I left the station and the ads on TV for and against it had totaled about $180,000.
Yeah. I think the ads are a huge waste of money. I'm not going to be impacted one way or the other on ads. I mean, much as they're nice for revenue for TV stations, the reality is it's why back in early 2011 I set my criteria then because I wanted objective criteria that wasn't influenced by political decisions, that was really set on what I thought was good, solid policy that now national experts have called a model for the rest of the country. That's how I'm going to make my decision. I'm going to do it based on all the information that all the interested parties bring to the table, not on how many ads they run on TV.